Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming to you from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio by Ray Orr.
Happy Monday.
Jonathan Voico's here.
Hey, everybody.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making this little show part of your day. And here's the way today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about some predetermined topics. Then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, observation that you'd like us to address, we reserve the right to decide if it's appropriate to be addressed on our show or not. Go ahead and use our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. But here's the good news. If you're watching this after the live stream is done, you can participate as well. This tip link is good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you have a thought, theory, or opinion, just fire it on in and we'll get around to it on the next episode. Also want to remind you guys, of course, that the John Campea podcast is, well, after all, primarily a podcast. So if you need your daily fix of the John Campea Show, but you can't be in front of a YouTube video, I don't know, maybe you're out for a walk, maybe you're at the gym, maybe you're at work, and you need an audio-only version, good news, the John Campea Show podcast is there on your favorite podcasting app of choice, be that Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. So do me a favor, guys, even if you're not going to listen to it today or tomorrow, go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it. All right, guys, we got a whole bunch of stuff to cover here on today's show. So let's not pause. Let's not have the, what's it called? The dramatically late arrival. Let's get right into it. Simu has now come out and confirmed, yes, because there have been some rumors going around that maybe Shang-Chi 2 has gotten the axe. Because Shang-Chi 2 got no mentions at D23, got no mentions at Comic-Con, and in lieu of Bob Iger, Big Papa Iger, announcing that they were going to cut back a little bit, focus more on quality over quantity, there have been some rumors starting to go around that maybe they have killed Shang-Chi 2. Well, Simu Liu has now come out and confirmed, no. It's 100% still happening. This comes just from the folks over at CBR who wrote the following. Simu Liu, by the way, good Canadian kid, recently confirmed that Shang-Chi 2 is still in the works during an interview. The sequel to the popular 2021 Marvel Cinematic Universe MCU film Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, by the way, still the best movie they've put out since Endgame, I think, is progressing despite Marvel Studios not having officially announced any news on the project recently. In an interview with PTI, Liu shared an update on the sequel stating, "A lot of it is above my pay grade, but it's definitely happening. I'm very excited to work on it, and it's going to be amazing. I really can't say anything beyond that." All right. Now, we all know, and we've known for some time, that this movie is coming. I mean, they even pulled Destin, the director of Shang-Chi, off of other projects so he can focus on Shang-Chi 2. But I was very perturbed, Ray.
Yep, you were.
I was disconcerted.
I know. I saw it bothering you all day long.
When at Comic-Con, they talked about a bunch of stuff, never mentioned Shang-Chi 2.
Mm-hmm.
Surely at D23 with a 2-hour presentation, they'll give some mention to the legacy of the Ten Rings. But no, nothing. But apparently Simu Liu has heard the whispers and the rumors out there coming out to say, no. It's above my pay grade. I can't get into all the details, but it's 100% happening. It's happening right now. It's in development right now, all that kind of stuff. Now, this is good for me to hear because like I said, I think this is the best Marvel movie they've put out since Endgame. Like, I think Shang-Chi, I remember coming out of the premiere of Shang-Chi shaking. I remember I went up to Greg Alba from Real Rejects, who was sitting like right beside me. And like the movie ended and I'm like, how good was that? Like I couldn't believe how good of a movie that is.
And he said, dude.
He's like, stop shaking me.
Stop shaking me. I'm getting a headache. I mean, I just couldn't believe how great. And Wenwu became like one of the best villains the MCU ever had. Right? I just love this movie. There's so much potential for it. And you know what I really love? I love that they didn't fall into the old Hollywood trope where the lead guy and the lead girl have to fall in love. Nope, they're just best friends.
Yep.
And I love that they just stayed that way at the end too. I thought that was great. Anyway, and the bus fight scene, as far as just a single combat sort of thing, I think it's the best fight sequence they've ever had. Now, the Civil War airport scene, that's like between 20 different characters, whatever. But the Shang-Chi fight on the bus scene, I think might be my favorite straight up fight scene in all the MCU.
I would love to see more of the 10 rings, like what Shang-Chi could do with those things. I love that they brought martial arts to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They could do some cool stuff with that. I can't wait for the sequel. The pay thing, I don't know. That's I never knew that was an issue. Hopefully they could have that worked out.
The what thing?
The pay, he said it's a pay scale. Did you say?
No. He said talking about the higher level stuff of what's going on at Disney. He said that's above my pay grade.
I'm sorry.
That's beyond my role.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he wasn't talking about how much he gets paid.
Okay, because that would have
that would have been a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to hear. I really do hope though they stop dragging their feet and give us some concrete information.
Do you think we're gonna get it before these Avengers movies? We have to, right? If he's gonna be a part of them?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's not like he's been introduced in the universe now. Apparently, he's going to be a part of What If Season 3. So there's that too. So he's already in the universe. So technically speaking, you don't need to have another Shang-Chi movie before the Avengers movies.
If you're a betting man, would it be before or after these sets of Avengers movies?
Oh, man.
I think it would be after, to be honest.
At this point, it's got to be. Look, it's already been 3 years.
But he's going to get older too.
Yeah, but he's a young guy.
Yeah, he's a young guy. But...
I mean, so it's not like the Mahershala Ali situation, right? Where like literally Mahershala is in his 50s now.
Right.
Like when are you getting going on this Blade movie? Clock's ticking. Simu's still a pretty young guy, so I mean he's got some time. But I want this movie and I want it quickly. Anyway, question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Simu Liu's coming out saying, "Listen, I'm hearing the whispers, I'm hearing the buzz, and that maybe it's not." Believe me, this movie is happening. It's in development. We just haven't made any official announcements. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Borderlands has just set a 2024 box office record. Well done. Well done. Big time to break some records. We're in the spirit of the Olympics. Get that gold medal. Although it's not the record they were probably hoping to get. Instead of the Simone Biles kind of records, it was more like the Aussie breakdancing girl kind of records. Ray Gun. It's the Ray Gun record that they just got.
Ray Gun? Oh, come on.
You know we're going to make jokes about that. So, Borderlands. Now look, to put this in perspective, most movies take a drop, what you expect to see from weekend 1 to weekend 2, under normal circumstances, is anyway between a 50 and 60% drop. That is normal. If you get under a 50% drop, that's considered incredible from weekend 1 to weekend 2. If you take more than a 60% drop, that is worrisome. Borderlands just took a 72% drop from weekend 1 to weekend 2. What makes that even worse is that sometimes you can expect a movie that does massive business in its first weekend to maybe have a larger than normal second weekend drop off because everybody's already seen it. Spider-Man No Way Home. I believe that movie took a 70% drop in its second weekend. Whoa, that's not so bad when you consider the fact that it had one of the biggest opening weekends of all time and everybody had already seen it. With Borderlands, it only made $8.8 million in its opening weekend and nobody went to go see it. So you'd think getting like that 50% drop might be within range, but even though it only had $8.8 million in its opening weekend, it followed up with just over $2 million in its second weekend. A little over $2 million in its second weekend. To put that into a little bit of perspective, in its second weekend, Borderlands dropped to number 10 on the box office. Number 10 in its second weekend. It has now worldwide made $18 million.
Yeah.
$18 million after 2 weekends worldwide on a budget of $115 million and a marketing budget of $30 million. This is why when people would go, why did Warner Brothers pull the plug on Batgirl? This is why. Because if they had just pulled the plug on this movie, yeah, they would have lost the $115 million, but they wouldn't have lost the $30 million they spent on marketing the film. And as of right now, Borderlands is not going to even make back the marketing budget of this movie. And it officially now set the record for the year as the biggest wide release Hollywood film second weekend drop off. Here is your list of honorees on that list. Madam Web took a 61.4% drop from weekend 1 to weekend 2. Argyle with my man, my boy, Henry Cavill, took a terrible movie, by the way, took a 64.2% drop. Fly Me to the Moon took a 64.8% drop.
Oh, wow.
Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire took a 65.4% drop. The Bike Riders, which nobody even knew it was coming out because it was supposed to come out like a year ago. Anyway, Bike Riders took a 65.9% drop. Maxine took a 69.1% drop.
Perfect drop for Maxine.
Such a perfect drop for Triple Xine. And now the record holder, the gold medal.
Number one
with
top
a
of the mountain.
bullet.
The king.
Borderlands. With a drop of 72%.
You're looking down at that box office drop.
They're looking at how can you see it? How low our box office has gone? No, we can't see the bottom. I mean, seriously, it's astonishing when you think that we're kind of in I'm not going to say the golden age yet. We haven't got there yet, but we're entering into a much better age for video game adaptations. You've got 2 Academy Award winners in it.
Mm-hmm.
You got an incredibly popular Kevin Hart in it. I mean, nobody expected this movie to make $400 million. Let's just be honest. Nobody ever expected it to make $400 million. But if you had asked me, now, and remember, months ago I said, I'm a big Eli Roth fan, but I don't think anybody's going to go see this. But even if you had asked me, okay, John, you're saying no one's going to go see it, but how much do you think, if you'd asked me this a couple of months ago, you don't think anybody's going to see it, but how much do you think ultimately it makes? I would have said 200 might be possible. Maybe 150, which would have been a disaster. 150 million would have been a disaster for it. But I would have said, yeah. $18 million after 2 weekends on a $115 million movie with a large, wide release, opened in over 3,100 screens in North America. And didn't lose any of those screens. Bring this up again. In its opening weekend, it was in 1,325 screens. Didn't lose any screens. Second weekend, still 3,125.
If this game were being played like the kids play Fortnite these days, even if it was a bad movie, it probably would have made more. It's just that, no, I don't think anyone's playing Borderlands.
I don't know that that's true. Now, for instance, for example, we are constantly faced with people who bring up stuff. Well, this thing, which is super popular, if it does a movie, it's going to be huge. You know, we've seen that with Pokemon. Didn't end up being true. We saw that with Dragon Ball. Didn't end up being true. Who's the most successful YouTuber in the world of all time?
Mr. Beast?
The Ryan Kid.
Oh, Ryan, the Ryan's World.
Yeah, Ryan's World.
Little Filipino kid.
The toy kid.
Yeah.
He put out a movie this week. Did you know that?
Too late, though.
Oh, dude, that trail looks.
You know how much money that movie made? $400,000.
Wow. That's a lot of lumpia.
That's a lot of chicken adobo. You can bust out the hala hala with that.
$400 worth.
400,000. I mean, just because the kid was ridiculously popular on YouTube didn't translate.
Yeah.
Now, would a Fortnite movie have done better than 18
20 million at least?
Sure. Yeah. I'll concede.
At least go with that. 20 million.
At least 20. Maybe
At
even,
least-
I might even say 50.
It would at
Whoa,
least,
whoa,
you know
whoa,
what?
whoa.
It would at least got
50.
it would at least got the kids in the theater, at least for the opening night. I think opening night would have been key, even if it was a bad movie for Fortnite to make.
Maybe, but
Yeah.
we've been surprised before.
I mean, keep going back to Five Nights at Freddy's. That one
Yeah, but
wasn't
that's-
that greatest movie.
That's
but
the exception. Like, that's the 1 out of 20,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So, because, yeah, it did work for Five Nights, but Five Nights isn't even that popular. Just for whatever reason, it really clicked with people, and people ran out to go see it.
And that movie wasn't that bad to me.
I didn't like it, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah,
it wasn't terrible. So, I don't know, guys. Break out the champagne. Borderlands has broken a record. This is
Taking
not
the
the
throne.
one. This is not the one they wanted to break. Taking a 72% drop in weekend number 2. The movie hasn't even made $20 million in 2 full weeks. It's not going to make back its marketing budget, let alone its production budget. It's going to go down as one of the biggest flops of all time. And the movie's bad. Don't get me wrong. The movie is bad. But it ain't the worst movie I've seen this year, and there are worse movies this year that have done better. Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? They talked about it. We knew it was coming. Deadpool and Wolverine is now official. It is the highest grossing R-rated film of all time.
Yeah.
Well done, Sean Levy, Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman. They did it.
Passed it by a lot more than I thought this weekend, too.
Yeah, they already. It's now like 1.15 or something like that. It's, I believe, at the end of the day today, it'll enter into the top 30 all-time box office films in history. And there were a lot of people. They say differently now, but they're denying it now. But there were a lot of people 6 months ago insisting this movie would not join the $1 billion club. But here we are. It is now. It passed Joker. It became only the second. Only 2 R-rated films in hit. Think about that. That's weird. Only 2 R-rated films in history. There are 55 all time out of the tens of thousands of movies that have come out. Only 55 members of the $1 billion club. And of those 55 members, only 2, that's French for you people out there. 2.
Duh.
There are 2 R-rated films amongst the 55. Joker became the first one. Deadpool and Wolverine became the second one, and now has passed Joker to become the highest grossing R-rated film of all time. Now, you know how there's kind of a tradition out there right now that when a new movie becomes the highest grossing film of all time, the director of the old movie puts out a big congratulations thing because, you know, James Cameron did that for the Russo brothers when Endgame became the #1 film. Then the Russo brothers did one for Avatar when Avatar took back the #1 spot. Well, apparently the directors of R-rated films are getting in on that action because when Deadpool passed Joker, Joker director Todd Phillips put out this amazing social media post of Deadpool dancing on the Joker stairs.
Awesome.
And he wrote, "Have to tip my hat to Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy for this absolute steamroller of a movie. We knew it was going to be big, but this is too much. Congrats to everyone involved." Super classy move by Todd Phillips. And who knows, maybe Joker 2 takes the title back. I don't think Joker 2 joins the $1 billion club, but I think it's going to be a big, big smash hit. Super classy move by Todd. I like this little tradition. When a new movie takes over another movie's top spot or something, the directors put out a congratulatory note. I think that's super high class. I think that shows a unity amongst creatives. I love it. So let's talk about this for a second. Again, I think a lot of people, let me back up a bit. I often get hit with comments from people and people writing me messages say, "John, why do you care so much about box office? Why do you care so much? What's the big deal? It's not your money. So why do you care about box office?" The reason, if you're a movie fan, you absolutely should care about box office, is because box office doesn't just tell us how much money did the studio make. That's not the message. When we see box office numbers, it gives us a trove of information. It tells us what is exciting movie fans today. What type of content is getting movie fans out into the theater? What is the message that film fans are sending to the studios about what we want to see? Another thing box office tells us is how well did their marketing campaign do? What kinds of trailers are clicking with us? What kinds of trailers are not? And so box office is not just a dollar figure. Box office has loads of messages and meanings in them. And so I get it. When we hear about, oh, Deadpool makes $1 billion. Oh, Deadpool number one. Okay, yeah, you can just brush that off, but I want you to really take that in consideration for a second. In a time, we're living in a post-pandemic era when the box office has not been what it was, to become, and in an era where a lot of comic book movie fans have kind of soured a bit on comic book movies because we have had so much mediocre content over the last couple of years. Some very, very good content, but some very mediocre content as well. For this to become, of all time, the highest grossing R-rated film ever, when the previous Hugh Jackman has never been in a movie that's come anywhere close to $1 billion. The other Deadpool movies didn't make $1 billion. And this one did. People wanted to go see this movie, and then they wanted to go back again and again and again. Even though the go woke, go broke crowd, even though it's a movie with a lesbian couple and girl bosses and homoerotic humor and all that kind of stuff, still made $1 billion. It's absolutely incredible what they were able to do. And it's absolutely incredible when you consider all the context surrounding it. Guys, this is the highest grossing R-rated film ever.
And congratulations to Ryan Reynolds for wrapping up this franchise the way he did right here. If this is going to be the last Deadpool or the last Deadpool movie, that's a way to go out.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, wait a minute. Are you saying there's not going to be another Deadpool movie? I personally don't think there's going to be another Deadpool movie. I think Ryan Reynolds will return as Deadpool in other movies, but I don't think he's going to make another one. You never know. He may not. But yeah, what an absolute huge accomplishment. Deadpool, ladies and gentlemen. Now the only question that is left is how high up the all-time chart will it climb? That's the only question left, and we'll see how that goes. Fourth weekend, still number 2 at the box office, still made well over $20 million in its fourth weekend. In its fourth weekend, Deadpool made more money than Borderlands has in its entire theatrical worldwide run. Just want to throw that out there. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Deadpool and Wolverine now officially the highest grossing R-rated film of all time. Super classy post made by Todd Phillips, congratulating them as well. Of course, we're looking forward to seeing Joker 2. Whatever you guys think about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still got to talk a bit about Alien Romulus. First of all, the director is talking about maybe an Alien versus Predator movie, and it's the movie that toppled Deadpool off the box office throne. We're going to talk about that and a few things more, but before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Miracle Made. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Miracle Made. Guys, it's hot outside and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. So if you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. There are just so many things that make these sheets so fantastic. We already mentioned the self-cooling properties for better quality sleep, but they're also self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. So go to trymiracle.com/Campea. That's trymiracle.com/Campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code code Campea at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Campea and use the code Campea to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Campea to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. And thank you to our friends at Miracle Made for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Alien Romulus had the second biggest opening this weekend in the franchise's history and took over the #1 spot at the box office from Deadpool and Wolverine, making over $41 million, getting close to $42 million in it. Put that in perspective. Great movies this year, like Furiosa and Fall Guy. They made in the 20s millions in their opening weekends. And Aliens Romulus comes out, makes well over 40. And here's why it's impressive. This is why this is really impressive. Now, somebody we really like in the online movie space, Forbes' Scott Mendelson, he got on Threads today and he mentioned, well, I don't get, why are people calling this a win? Why are people calling Alien Romulus a win? Because Alien Covenant came out, and, you know, it didn't make as much as Alien Romulus, but it wasn't all that far off, and everybody called it a big disaster. But now along comes Alien Romulus, and it makes a little bit more, and everybody's calling it a big win. Doesn't make any sense to me. And by the way, I'm not trashing on Scott, because I think Scott's one of the guys I like to read. I think Scott's really good. But I replied to him. I said this. There are a couple of big factors into why you got to look at Alien Romulus as a huge win versus what Alien Covenant did. First thing is, well, Alien Covenant came out pre-pandemic. I mean, before we went through the box office metamorphosis that we've gone through as a result of the pandemic, that movie was pre-pandemic. The second big thing is, when Alien Covenant came out, Alien was still seen as a respected IP. Prometheus was divisive, but the Alien IP was still kind of seen as a viable, legit, big IP in Hollywood. I mean, it wasn't Star Wars or Marvel or anything or Harry Potter, but at that time when Covenant came out, Alien was a respected, viable, still a big IP. Contrast that to today. When they announced that Alien Romulus was coming out, a lot of people, myself included, said, well, that's a mistake. This is a dead franchise. Not that a lot of us don't love Aliens. Of course we do. We still remember the original films. Even the Alien versus Predator and Alien versus Predator Requiem, even those films have some fun. Right? It wasn't that, but the franchise had been run into the ground. Nobody cared about Alien anymore. It was dead. Much like Predator was. And then all of a sudden, Dan Trachtenberg came out and made Prey. So I don't know, maybe Alien Romulus can be like Prey and get everybody excited again. And it was originally destined to go straight to Hulu, just like Prey did. So for this little movie, with no major stars, none. A couple of these people in this movie are going to be big, but right now, nobody in this movie is a big star. So no big names to base the marketing on a dead franchise that was destined to go straight to Hulu on an $80 million budget, which is, of course, bigger than anything I'll ever make. But to put that in perspective, that's $35 million cheaper than they made Borderlands for.
Yeah.
$80 million budget. Post-pandemic, when the Alien franchise was considered dead, no big stars, done. Supposed to go straight to Hulu, and they put this movie out, and today it makes over $41 million. Over $100 million worldwide, which means in its first weekend, Alien Romulus has made more than $25 million over its production budget. That doesn't mean it's profitable yet. It still has more money it needs to make to be profitable. But after one weekend, it has blown by its production budget. Again, contrast that with Borderlands, whose budget was $115 million and they made $8 million in their opening weekend, and have made $18 million worldwide after 2 weekends. So, and listen, I'll tell you what, this is not better than the original Alien. This is not better than Aliens, but there has never been a better Alien movie since those original two. It brought the fun back to it. It brought the horror back to it. It brought the atmosphere back to it. Did it delve a little bit into the member berries? Absolutely it did.
Sure
it did. 100% it did. But you know what? A little bit of a spoiler here. I'm just going to say a line that's in the movie. Forgive me for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, but I'm going to give just a quick one-line spoiler. But when dude says, "Get away from her, you bitch," my audience that I was in the theaters with exploded. The audience, the movie theater that I was in, went nuts. So did it rely a little bit on the member berries? Sure it did. But it relied on them when they worked. Nostalgia is not a good or a bad thing. It can be used badly or it can be used well. They used it pretty well. Now, is it a perfect movie? No, not a perfect movie, but I had a big fun with it. And I love seeing this. And again, it just kind of doubles down on the fact that what they really should have done with Prey is put that thing out in theaters. They should have put Prey in theaters. I think it could have had the kind of similar path that Alien Romulus has. But at any rate, I mean, I'm super happy for it. Again, second biggest in the franchise. After the franchise was considered to be dead, post-pandemic, no big stars. And yet, here we are. Good on them.
Good on them.
And I'm excited for them. I'm excited to see where they go. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Deadpool and Wolverine's finally been dethroned at the box office in its 4th weekend. And Alien Romulus, the film I admit had no faith in 8 months ago, is the one that did it. Good on them. However you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? You know, we were just talking about Alien versus Predator, or not Alien, we were just talking about Alien Romulus, you know, topping the box office, all that kind of stuff. Well, in the world of Alien Romulus and Alien versus Predator, you knew at some point somebody was going to bring up to Fede Alvarez, the director of Alien Romulus, hey, you ever think about doing Alien versus Predator again? And you know what? He didn't shoot the idea down. He actually explained how he would do it. This comes from the folks over at Deadline. And they wrote the following. Alien Romulus filmmaker Fede Alvarez is totally open to doing a revamped Alien vs. Predator movie, but he'll need a little help. He said this, maybe it's something I have to co-direct with my buddy Dan Trachtenberg. Alvarez said, that friend being Dan Trachtenberg, who helmed the widely watched Predator 2022 film Prey on Hulu and is already working on another standalone pick in the franchise. Maybe we should do it like Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez did with Dusk Till Dawn. I'll direct a half and he'll direct another half. All right. I'm going to acknowledge right now that Fede was probably speaking a little bit of tongue-in-cheek. But I think you're crazy if you don't believe that there are some boardrooms right now where this discussion is going on. Prey was fantastic. I was so blown away by it. I loved it. I thought it was the best Predator movie since the original Arnold Schwarzenegger Predator, which still remains today to be the best one. But I mean, it was absolutely wonderful. I didn't know how they were going to do some low budget period piece Predator movie. Like, how are you going to make this interesting? And they found a way to make it so good. Now you get Fede and Dan, and I love this idea. Well, why don't we get the two directors together and let's do a Grindhouse kind of situation. The two of us will direct. I'll direct the first half of the story. He directs the second half of the story. We develop the film together and we put out an Alien versus Predator movie.
Both movies had very good leads and very good supporting, like Andy and also Mid-Thunder's brother too. He was great in Prey too. So both of them were like very similar.
What was her first name? Amber?
Amber Mid-Thunder.
Amber Mid-Thunder. Oh my God, she was so good in Prey. Now, I mean, I don't know how on earth you could have like Spanny from Alien Romulus and Mid-Thunder from Prey together, considering they're like 300 years separated. It's sci-fi. I'm sure you can come up with something. But oh my God, how cool would it be to have Amber Mid-Thunder and is it Kaylee Spanny? I think that's her name in Alien Romulus. And have them teaming up in a movie with aliens and predators, with Fede and Dan developing and directing it. I'm telling you what, this is a little bit of a sci-fi wet dream right here.
Yeah, but that primitive predator has no chance against the xenomorph. It needs more armor, I think.
Yeah, but it would.
Well, maybe they've been hunting them already for centuries.
I think you just take what Alvarez and why can't I think of the other director's name? What they do.
Trachtenberg?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be those characters.
Yeah.
I mean, and also I kind of like how the idea of like splitting the roles a little bit on it.
Like what I wouldn't want them to do like exactly like
No.
A Grindhouse where they literally made two different movies. I'd want one movie, but they split the directing responsibility.
I don't want too many humans in this. I don't want it like some scientific team stuck there. Like, you can have a couple of like main human characters that are just in a very wrong place at the wrong time situation. But really, the focus needs to be on the Predator and the aliens. Then, if that's the case, do not start focusing on all the humans with a little bit of Predator and alien sprinkled in there. Don't try to explain things away. Like, this should just be a full action horror movie.
I mean, you got to have. I think what we've learned though in Hollywood is that you got to have the human characters anchoring the film.
I'm not saying you don't anchor it, but I don't want a Godzilla where you're just cutting away to someone on the phone.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
It's like, hey, we like Bryan Cranston, but don't keep cutting to him when some monster action is supposed to start.
The anchors have to be there, and I want an emotional anchor because this movie had an emotional anchor, and Prey had an emotional anchor. Of course you have that. What I'm saying is, I guess take it seriously when it comes to the human characters, but then when it comes to the Predator and the alien, don't try to over-explain things. Let's just have them do their thing.
Yeah, make it real simple. They're on a hunt.
I want instinct, not. Yeah.
It should have been the way Mortal Kombat should have been. Scorpion or Sub-Zero chasing Scorpion or Scorpion chasing Sub-Zeros. That should be the whole movie. Alien chasing the Predator or vice versa.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Fede Alvarez is saying, listen, I'm open to the idea of doing Alien versus Predator. Me and Dan, who directed Prey, let's team up. Let's team up and make one together. I am all for it. I don't know. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we're now going to move on to the most important part of our show, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick moment and thank another great sponsor of today's episode, our friends at Hungryroot. We want to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Hungryroot. Guys, you know me, I like things that make my life easier, especially things that make it easier for me to eat healthy and eat well, and certainly more effectively than trying to order from food delivery services. Hungryroot is the easiest way to eat healthy. They send you fresh, high-quality groceries, simple, delicious recipes, and essential supplements. It's like having someone else do all the planning and shopping so you don't even have to think about it. Hungryroot gets to know your personal health goals, dietary restrictions, favorite foods, how much time you want to spend cooking, and more. Then, they build you a personalized cart with all your grocery needs for the week, including easy 4-ingredient recipes to put those groceries to use. Each order is fully customizable so you can take their suggestions or choose anything you want. They've got fresh produce, high-quality meat and seafood, healthy snacks, smoothies, sweets, ready-to-eat meals, kids snacks and meals, vitamins and supplements, and much more. Everything from Hungryroot follows a simple standard. It's got to taste good, be quick to make, and contain whole, trusted ingredients. Right now, Hungryroot is offering the John Campea Show listeners 40% off your first delivery and free veggies for life. Just go to hungryroot.com/Campea to get 40% off your first delivery and get your free veggies. That's hungryroot.com/Campea. Don't forget to use our link so that they know we sent you. And thank you to our friends at Hungryroot for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys. With all that down, let's get into your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
We got Anthony R with a $20 tip.
Thank you, Anthony.
I have a friend who was never exposed to Star Wars in any capacity. Parents didn't expose him to pop culture. He started with Andor. He liked it, but then he watched the
Original trilogy?
Yeah, original trilogy, and then
Prequel trilogy.
Prequel, yeah. And now he doesn't like Andor because he didn't know Star Wars had powers.
Whatever. I mean, to each their own. That's all fine. I mean, like, to me, Andor is the best thing Star Wars has ever made since the original trilogy. I mean, it's always going to be New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi. Those are the best three things ever. But since then, the absolute best thing they've made is Andor. I absolutely love it. And but I mean, listen, people now, we're like, these movies are now so old that people are watching them in really weird orders, and it's going to impact people differently. And that's all cool. All right, what's next?
We got, I gotta skip up here. Zyko says, you're right about why FF4 comics were canceled back then, but both things are true, as there was an attempt to screw over Fox both in and outside comics, such as not allowing X-Men and Fantastic Four to appear in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinity and Lego Marvel 2.
0.5% of an issue. 0.5% of the issue. There were comics that got a lot more readership than Fantastic Four back in the day that got canceled. And Fantastic Four back in the day had horrible readership. Horrible readership. I know everybody likes to look for other excuses, but nobody read Fantastic Four at that time. Period. Nobody was reading it. And today, with the new Fantastic Four that's out, nobody's reading it today either. We brought up the sales charts. It was literally the number 41 selling comic of the month. The newest issue was number 41 in sales. I mean, look, again, that's not me bashing on Fantastic Four. I love Fantastic Four. I can't wait to see the movie. I'm just saying, got to stop making excuses for why certain things happen, because the reality is, even hardcore comic fans don't read Fantastic Four anymore. And that's just something you got to realize when we get into the movie that's coming up, that I can't wait to see. All right, what's next?
Okay, another $20 tip from Mike Halsey.
Thank you, Mike.
How many times in the end did you and go watch Deadpool and Wolverine?
By the way, to everybody, Ann is spelled A-N-N. There is no E. This isn't Anne of Green Gables. This is Ann, A-N-N. There is no E on Ann, just so everybody knows. All right.
All right. And is there anything else coming up on the horizon that you think might get you as excited? For me, I'm excited for MI8, The Batman 2, and Dune 3.
So far we got stuck on 5. We've seen Deadpool and Wolverine 5 times. We're probably going to go again this week. And I mean, our goal is to see it 9 in theaters. That's our goal, to see it 9 times in theaters. We are stuck in 5. I can't see anything else coming out in the near future that we're going to see as many times. I mean, I'm very excited about the next Mission Impossible. I'm very excited about the next Batman. I'm clearly very excited about Dune 3, even though I've got worries about the story of Dune Messiah. But I don't know that anything's going to get us to the theater as much as Deadpool and Wolverine does.
And also, I think he meant, like, you know how we had the countdown and you were like the countdown 5 days, so stuff like that. You don't see anything that would probably give you that sort of excitement that big.
Nothing right now.
Nothing right now. Yeah.
I mean, There's be super. I mean, just think about it. It was Deadpool, which I love the Deadpool movies. It was now in the MCU, and Hugh Jackman was coming out of retirement to play Wolverine.
I mean, you just can't compare. Like,
yeah, it
was a perfect storm of things, right? Yeah. So, like, the next Batman movie, I'm super excited about it, but it is just the next Batman movie.
Oh, better believe we'll have a countdown for Blade if it ever comes out.
Well,
10 days till Blade.
100%. 293 days until Blade. All right, what's next?
Fred Milleron says, John, have you heard any news on the next James Bond film? Now that Amazon owns half of the franchise, I would think they would push Broccoli Wilson to get everything in motion. I mean, it probably is in motion.
Yep. It's in motion, but the Broccoli... Listen, make no mistake about it. There's still one person in charge of James Bond, and that's Barbara Broccoli. For those of you who are Canadian, I don't know why, I have a hard time saying Barbara Broccoli without saying Barba Papa. Those of you who are American or live in other countries, you probably have never heard of Barba Papa. But let me just look in the live chat. Any of my guys in the live chat ever read Barba Papa when you were a kid? Because that was it was a cartoon and a little book that we used to read as Canadian kids. Anyway, lickety split, Barba trick. Anyway,
oh boy,
go look up Barba Papa. Oh, Canadian Spring is saying, I love the cartoon. Yep.
Yeah, Canadian Spring, right on the nose.
Right on cue. Right on cue. Anyway, but I mean, they'll get to it when they get to it. I know they're having draft stories put together. They want to get the right story, and then once they get the story, then they'll figure out who the best fit for Bond will be. I mean, I still think guys like, he's getting a little old, but I think he's still in the age range for my boy Henry Cavill. I think Tom Hiddleston would still be an interesting choice. Ricky Tikki Tacky, Aaron Taylor Johnson would make a good one.
And plus, because he's younger than all the other picks, like maybe
he's getting older.
He could
look up how old is Ricky Tikki? How old is Aaron Taylor
Tikki.
Johnson right now? I think he's in his mid to late 30s.
Ricky Tikki needs to make a movie with
He is
Tiki Tacky
34.
Joy.
He's 34, yeah, so he's still younger than the other options. There's a lot of good options out there who'd make a really, really good Bond. But that's as far as we know. We're no closer than we were yesterday. All right, what's next?
Gator says,
Gator.
Are movie theaters killing themselves, or are the studios killing the theaters? The theaters themselves probably don't want the movies to go on streaming so soon. But that's the studio's decision.
Oh,
That's
no, it's both. But then there are decisions that movie theaters make, like 30 minutes of commercials
best
before
decision.
showing you a movie that you paid to be there for. $21 popcorn and soda combo. And several other things. Like the movie theaters, yes, there is the studio side that is killing the industry, and then there's decisions that are being made on the theater side that is killing the industry. So it's not one or the other. It's both and they're both responsible for certain aspects of it. All right, what's next?
Jedediah says the Wikipedia page for Craven still has the Madam Web Morbius writers in the screenplay by credits. Still think it'll do well. Also, got any extra Wolverine got an extra Wolverine popcorn bucket. If you and the crew would be willing to sign mine, you can keep the other one. I mean, that's Wikipedia, so don't always believe what's on Wikipedia.
Yeah, no, the guys, the people who wrote Craven are not the people who wrote Madam Web and Morbius. So
someone needs to delete that then.
I don't know why. I'm just double checking to make sure. I know Richard Wenk, who did like some of the Equalizer films. I know he's the main guy on it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So no, it's not the same guys. As far as the popcorn bucket goes, once I actually saw it and saw how little popcorn it would have, I kind of lost my interest in getting the popcorn bucket. I do have the Headpool popcorn bucket. That one's pretty cool. So there's that. All right, what's next?
Jedediah is back. Missed the upcoming movie previews you used to do every couple of months during the last few years. Would you consider doing a fall movie preview? Lots of contenders. Choose from: Gladiator, Beetlejuice, Joker, Wicked, Transformers, Venom, Saturday night. Yeah,
one of the things we used to like to do was at the beginning of the month, we'd like to do a preview. Here's the movies coming out this month. The problem then hit that the writers and actors strike happened.
Right.
And all of a sudden we had like almost nothing coming out. We literally would go weeks without new films coming out. But as we get further into the year and as we get closer to 2025, yeah, I see us getting back to doing, like at the beginning of the month, doing a segment on here's previewing the movies that are coming up this month to put back on everybody. That's probably a good idea, but we got to get back into a more full, robust rollout because we were really hurting there for a while in early 2024 because of the strikes. Good idea, though. All right, what's next?
All right, last one from Jedediah. Managed to get tickets for a month in advance screening of Transformers 1, which have likely seen it when this gets read on air. Excited to let you know how it is. Haven't been this ready for a movie, new film since Bumblebee, though that isn't saying much.
When is Transformers 1 supposed to come out?
Let me see.
For some reason, I had it in my head that it was like December.
October, I believe.
Oh, it's October.
Yeah.
All right, so
really
it's not that far off. I had it in my head that it was a December release for some reason.
No, I'm sorry, September 11th, not October. I thought it was early September.
Okay, Ray, you saw October?
Yeah. No. I was just following with John.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I thought I'd read October, but it's September.
September.
So it's about a month, a little less.
Okay, so it's a lot closer than I thought
Yeah.
it was. Man, I'm excited to see it. Again, I didn't know what to think about it either until they did that not Comic-Con, the CinemaCon back in April. They did a presentation on the movie, and I came out going, "This looks really good." And everybody, no, it's gonna be garbage. It's gonna be garbage. Okay, that's fine. I'm just saying, I saw this presentation they did, and it looked really good. And now, ever since they put out that trailer at Comic-Con
And the last one.
and the newest one they put out, like more and more people are starting to get excited about it. And look, I don't know if the movie's going to be good or bad, obviously, but I'm just saying it looks pretty damn good. I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, Paramount's surprising sometimes with their animations. Some of them are really good.
Well, their latest
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle one was great. All right, what's next?
I don't even want to have to read this one, but here we go. Anonymous says, John and crew, first of all, no, not crew, just John. Thank you for the tip of sour cream and mozzarella sticks.
It is glory. It is heaven in your mouth.
Have you tried banana sauce with the sour cream for the mozzarella sticks? Okay, the new Hellboy movie. Did I miss something? There's a new Hellboy movie?
Well, I just don't like banana sauce, so that puts that out.
He must be Filipino.
But yeah, there's a new Hellboy movie coming. That's directed by a good buddy of mine. Is directing the film. And the first trailer came out. And listen, I'm going to be honest with you. The first trailer that came out for it did not look great. Frankly, the trailer looked really cheap. And it looked like it was shot on an iPhone. And remember, I'm saying this, like, the guy who directed this movie is one of the guys who introduced me to Anne. I am sitting in this room with Ray Ora. I am married to my wife because of this guy.
5 out of 5 stars, Hellboy.
5 out of 5 stars. But I mean, listen, the first trailer looked cheap. It looked like it was shot on an iPhone. I had no idea what they were doing with it. Then the Comic-Con trailer came out. Does it still look low budget? Absolutely. Because newsflash, it's a very low budget movie. But the creator of Hellboy himself, Mike Mignola, is the main creative force behind the movie. The actual creator of Hellboy is the one pushing the film. And the Comic-Con trailer looked much better. Now, I still don't know if it's going to be great. I mean, it's clearly focusing more on the horror aspect. That's what Mike Mignola said he wanted to get back to. He wanted to get back to the horror aspect of Hellboy. So we'll see. Now, it's not going to have much of a marketing budget because it's a very small movie with a very, very low budget. So I don't know. We'll see. I just know I'm looking forward to checking it out.
And you said the actual creator of Hellboy is actually backing this film?
Mike
too?
Mignola, the guy who created Hellboy. He's kind of the creative force behind the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he wrote it too. All right. What's next?
We got Anonymous. I agree Fantastic Four won't hit $1 billion, but using Ryan North's Fantastic Four number 20 sales as proof is unfair. Most of top 20 except staples like Spider-Man or Batman are under the issue. Number 10 because newer sales are better. Fantastic Four number 1 was top 5, and the first 8 were all top 20 of 20 issues. 14 were top 30.
I never said that that Fantastic Four won't make $1 billion, and here's the reason. I gave a laundry list of reasons. And the whole Fantastic Four coming in at number 41 in sales wasn't the reason. That was just in response to people saying, John, you just don't understand how popular Fantastic Four is. I'd say, well, super popular. It'd be doing a little better than 41 on the sales. But I gave a whole bunch of other reasons. Most importantly, being that the audience has a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to Fantastic Four. We've had not 1, not 2, but 3 Fantastic Four movies out in theaters in recent history. And all of them were terrible. And nobody went to go see them. Now, are they going to get a bump from coming to the MCU? Absolutely. But those things are the reasons it won't make $1 billion. I never said that the reason Fantastic Four won't make $1 billion at the box office is because it's number 41 in sales. I never said that. So let me just be very, very clear about that.
I mean, it wasn't even you bringing that up out of a void. That was as a response to someone literally saying it will do great because look at its chart.
Because of how good it, how
and then we
many
were like,
people
well,
read
let's
it.
look at the chart. And then it's like, you can't just look at the chart.
Yeah, that was my point. It wasn't, yeah, it was, Me saying that the movie's not going to make $1 billion had nothing to do with how it does on sales. That was in response to people saying, well, John, it will make $1 billion because of how many people read it. And that's what I was talking about. All right, what's next?
Lene says, "Hola, everyone. First time writing to the show. Love the show.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work. I got tickets to Star Wars Celebration next year in Japan. To be honest, I bought them to make a trip out of it. Of course, yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Heck yeah.
Have any of you been? Bring out the feeling. I would love to go to Japan.
Yeah, me too.
And Anne's one of her best friends, Kaori, who many of you guys know. We've had Kaori on the show and on the channel many times. She loves going. She keeps telling me that I need to go to Japan. That I love. Soul has gone to Japan several times. Loves it. I don't know. There's some giant tentacle porn convention or something.
Nice.
Look,
That's
all
cool.
I know is that everybody that I know that has traveled to Japan says it's awesome and that I really should go. Here's my problem. I hate flying.
Yeah.
I hate flying.
You could take a ship.
Tough flight.
Take a steamer. Like the old days.
It is difficult for me
Submarine.
to even get on a
That'd be
plane to
worse.
fly home. And that's just a 5-hour flight. I think 5 hours is my max. So I haven't been to the Philippines yet, and everybody keeps telling me I need to go visit the Philippines. I'd love to visit Japan because everybody I know who's gone to Japan just says it's absolutely phenomenal. I've never been to Italy.
What if you guys?
I'm Italian. I've never been to Italy. My wife has been 3 times. I've never been.
As soon as the plane goes over the ocean, I start freaking out when I see that map, like the little thing that they have, and as soon as like we're leaving LAX,
You could.
and you see the all just ocean, I start freaking out. That's why I try to sleep during that.
You
part.
could. None of that bothers me, but you could break it up. Like you could take a few days, like in Hawaii. So fly to Hawaii, just does that, and then go to Japan from Hawaii. Or even for Italy, if you go back to Toronto, you could fly to London, which is not far from.
Oh no, you can get to London from Toronto in like 4 or 5
very
hours.
quick, and then
super
go to,
fast,
and then
flight.
go to Italy from London and break it up that way.
Still, it's a lot. I just don't like flying that much. That's my problem.
Yeah.
All right, what's
All right,
next?
Aiden says, "Fun fact: Sean Ashmore, who played Iceman in X-Men, also played Lamplighter in The Boys."
Yes, he did.
I realized this after rewatching the show before the 4th season came out, but only now decided to share it on the show.
Thank you.
No, I mean, yeah, I think everybody recognized him as Iceman. Remember, his brother is also an actor. And I can't remember. Guys in the live chat, help me with this. There was a really fun little horror film. I mean, it wasn't like supernatural horror, and it starred one of the Ashmore brothers. I can't remember which one it was. It was one of the 2 Ashmore brothers, where they go skiing and they get stuck on a ski lift.
Oh, I watched that recently. I actually really like that.
And they're
movie.
going to freeze to death. But the problem is there's a pack of wolves
Yeah, I just
down
saw
on the
that.
ground. So they're going to freeze to death if they stay in the thing. I can't. Patrick. Oh, the actual name of the movie
Lift?
is Frozen.
Oh, Frozen.
Not to be confused with the Into the Unknown.
Oh my God,
Not to be confused with that Frozen. That's a great little movie. I just can't remember which Ashmore brother is in that one.
When they tore up that first guy, the wolves. Oh my.
Oh,
God.
that is a disturbing movie,
Oh
man.
my God.
That is a disturbing little movie.
That's a nice little flick.
All right, what's next?
Suthia says, "I enjoyed UA season 4 overall. I like the story and the mystery of what was unfolding. By the way, that's Umbrella Academy. Well, not
Okay, I was about to say, guys, please do not write in acronyms
Yeah, it
when
gets
you
a
write
little
it,
difficult.
please, because I had no idea what you were talking about when you said UA4. Okay, continue.
While I'm not gonna fan rage like others, I did think the final episode was a letdown. In concept, cool idea, but execution-wise, man, I love the season for the characters."
Yeah, listen, I love the Umbrella Academy. I loved all 3 of the first 3 seasons. But I've heard from so many people that felt kind of let down by the final season that I can't bring myself to watch it. Because, like, I'm kind of I don't want to remember Umbrella Academy that way. Maybe I'll just stick with the first 3. I mean, I'm sure at some point I'll get around to watching it, but I'm very hesitant now because so many people are saying they felt a little let down by it.
You're doing what I did with Breaking Bad.
Oh, you just gave up
I
on
stopped
it.
that season 5 when they bought the cars. I said, "This is the way I want to end it. Happy, whatever."
But nobody told you it got bad after that.
No, but when because the ending was Hank on the toilet,
Yeah.
and then he saw that, I was like, okay, nah. So I haven't seen season 6.
Oh yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right, well, Chad from Pittsburgh is here and says, "Hi all, I saw Alien Romulus and loved it. It's a top 5 film of the year for me. Fede Alvarez is putting together a nice filmography. I love his set designs. Would you like to see him handle bigger name IPs like Star Wars or Marvel in the future?" I'm going to either. As a matter of fact, John, I even mentioned to you, I would love to see him in Star Wars.
I think he could do it. Look, I bring this up all the time, but when I was sitting down with Kevin Feige and James Gunn before the first Guardians of the Galaxy came out, I turned to Kevin and I said, so like, I'm a big fan of James Gunn, like especially because of Slither. Slither is still my favorite James Gunn movie. If you guys haven't seen Slither, you got to watch it. But I said to Kevin, I said, like, he's only ever done very small budget, low profile films. I said, what made James Gunn the guy that you trusted doing a Guardians of the Galaxy with? Something that's going to be huge set pieces, big, massive budget. And Kevin Feige said the simplest thing, but it's really quite profound. He said to me, because a good storyteller is a good storyteller. And instantly I was just like such a simple statement. But like, this guy shows he knows how to craft story and tell a story. And if you can do that with a small budget, you can do it with a big budget. And so, yeah, Fede Alvarez has really shown, at least in his lane, because he hasn't really gone outside of his lane too much yet, but he's shown that he knows how to craft a story. And so I would be very interested in seeing him getting the opportunity to do something bigger now. I really would. All right, what's next?
Emperor Voldemort says, I'm annoyed that there's so much emphasis on box office financial totals, but little to no mention on the number of tickets sold. Long-term economic inflation makes historical popularity comparisons difficult. Billion-dollar films would be less noteworthy.
Again,
but it's about the financial health currently of like the theater and
people who bring up, listen to me, whenever you see, people like to pretend they sound smart by saying, well, you got to account for inflation. No, you don't. Because if you only want to cherry pick a variable, like one variable, like inflation, because there's a dozen variables, then you got to take the other ones into consideration. Like back when, let's say, that Dustin Hoffman classic Tootsie. Love that movie. One of the great comedies. I love Tootsie.
Oh man, now I'm going to read the next question in Tootsie's voice.
But here's the thing. When Tootsie was out, it didn't have to compete with streaming. That is a significant major variable. When Tootsie came out, the average American home didn't have 5 televisions in it, or digital access to entertainment and films. When Tootsie came out, it wasn't competing for the entertainment expendable dollars of people with Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo and whatever else. It didn't have to compete with that. Do you know how much of Americans' disposable income goes now towards Xbox and PlayStation and gaming? A huge percentage. Tootsie never had to compete with that.
Tootsie had a good.
Tootsie got to be in theaters when movies cost $4 or $5 to go. You can say, well, you got to compare the number of tickets sold. Here's the thing. If Tootsie came out today, it wouldn't have sold nearly as many tickets as it did in its own era because of competition for disposable income, competition for time and entertainment, streaming, video games, pandemic, cost of tickets, cost of going to the movie theaters. This whole thing about, well, you got to look at tickets sold. No, because it's not an apples to apples comparison. If you took Tootsie from when it came out and transported it to today, it would not have sold the same amount of tickets it sold back then. Right. You have to take current cultural context into consideration, or you don't. That's why when people go, well, you got to adjust for inflation, I just want to shake my head because, oh, so you want to cherry pick one variable, but you want to ignore the even bigger variables out there. Because comparing to inflation only has any piss of meaning if you contend that however many tickets a movie sold in 1981, if that movie came out today, would sold at the same movie ticket prices of today, with the same competition of today, with the same climate of movie going today, You think that movie that came out in 1981, if released today, would have sold the same number of tickets? Obviously not. And if you acknowledge that the answer is obviously not, then you can't do an inflation comparison. It's ridiculous. It's pointless. It's comparing apples to spaceships. People gotta stop with this compared number of tickets sold. Because here's the thing. If Deadpool and Wolverine came out when there was no PlayStation, no Xbox, no Nintendo, no Netflix, no Disney Plus, no whatever, and tickets were $4 a piece, how many fucking tickets do you think Deadpool and Wolverine would have sold? 5 times as many? 20 times as many? It's pointless to speculate. That's why the inflation argument is null. It's absolutely null. Anyway.
Look what you did. Look what you did, buddy.
Anyway, what's next?
Well, we got Lester's Possum here. And Lester's Possum says...
I want it in the Tootsie voice.
Oh. Let me see here. Now, Lester's Possum...
I changed my mind. I don't want it in the Tootsie voice.
Lester's Possum writes in, oh, thank you, Lester's Possum. It's interesting.
That's actually a really good Dustin Hoffman from Tootsie.
Even after viewing multiple times, for me, it's just as engaging. I still feel a lot of emotions when watching movies that I've already seen. Now, maybe there are other people who have similar experiences rewatching movies. What do you think, John?
Oh my God.
That was a very good Dustin Hoffman Tootsie.
That was for you, viewers. There you go.
All right, I'm with you. Like, there are movies that I actually enjoy even more the second time around. Like, here's the thing. Like, people say, this is why I get into arguments with people a lot over spoilers and things like that. It's like, don't get me wrong. There are true, real spoilers out there. And I'm not saying they don't have any impact. But after seeing Deadpool the first time, and now I know everything that happens in Deadpool, I went back to watch it a second time. And I enjoyed it even more the second time, even though I already knew everything that was going to happen. The discussion I've had goes like this. Some of you have heard me say this. People would say to me, why do you go to see a movie in theater more than once? What's the point? You've already seen it. To which I would reply, well, because movies are experiential events. And if a movie's really good and it gives you a great experience, if you have something that gives you a great experience, wouldn't you go back to it again? Have you ever gone to a theme park and ridden the same ride twice? I don't mean just on the same day. I mean, hey, I've already ridden the Tower of Terror, or whatever it is. Why would you go back and do it again? You've already done it. You already know the experience because it's a great experience. Have you ever rubbed uglies? Have you ever had sex?
No.
To which some people would say, have you ever had sex? Well, why do it again? You already know what it feels like. You've already done it. Why did you do it again? Because I did do it once and it was awesome. And I look very much forward to having that experience again. Movies are experiential events. And if the experience is great, you look forward to having that experience again. Just like your favorite restaurant, just like your favorite theme park ride, just like bumping uglies. If it's a great experience, you want to go back and do it again. All right, what's next?
TIE Fighter Pilot says, I think it's unwise for actors, actresses to comment on politicians directly by name. Right or wrong, making endorsements or chastising some political figure causes division among people. They don't cause the division. Example, Robert De Niro and vice versa for politicians.
Listen.
Unless you like what they're saying, right?
Well, you got it. I want to be careful how I put this. But the two angles of this are, if you're an actor working with a particular studio, you want to be careful what your messaging is, right? If you don't like a particular politician, that's one thing. If you're getting into a certain political issue that maybe a studio that is associated with you doesn't want to be associated with, you might want to be careful about that. But listen, I don't care if Robert De Niro, somebody wrote to me today on Instagram saying, John, you have a movie website. You should stick to talking about movies. To which I replied, well, maybe you should only stick to talking about flipping burgers. Like, why are you on my social media page talking about this issue if you think people should only talk about issues related to their job? I have no problem with a Robert De Niro saying whatever he wants to say. Just like I have no problem with Clint Eastwood Remember when he did that talking to the chair thing? Well, I have no problem. If Clint Eastwood wants to do that, he's an individual private citizen. All of us, everybody, has the right to express our thoughts on the things that affect our communities and the people that we care about and love. We all have a right to talk about that stuff. Whether you're Clint Eastwood or whether you're Robert De Niro or whether you're Scott Baio or Taylor Swift or whatever.
Charles in
Because
charge.
if you're saying
Charles in charge.
that those people have jobs being actors, they shouldn't be allowed to talk about politics, then you have no right to talk about politics. Then nobody has a right to talk about politics. You should only talk about politics and the things that have direct impact on people you love or people you care about or issues that affect your community. It's idiotic to say, I should have this right, but other people should not have that right. It's a bad position. It's a bad position. That's all I'll say on that. All right, what's next?
We got Matan, who's mad about something. So Marvel can drop an S-ton amount of that the AMTPT will call unreasonable astronaut EJ for cheap fan service, but not get Josh Brolin back for a cameo in Deadpool 3, as well as Cable and a variant of Thanos. Why is Cable MIA in Deadpool 3?
Because there was no reason for him to be there. That's the answer. There was no reason for him to be there.
Yeah.
That wasn't the story they were telling.
Because he would have been in that one place where like characters went, wherever that desert.
Or just at the birthday party.
Right.
Just the Cable.
Right at the birthday party.
They didn't need him there, right? And they dropped in a joke about him. Well, they didn't test well with the focus groups, especially Cable, right? So there's a mention there, but there was no need to have Cable there. There was no need to have Domino there, and I loved Cable and Domino, but there was no need to have them there. So the question is, why didn't they? The question is, why did they need to be? So yeah, it wouldn't have made any sense. All right, what's next?
Okay, Tony P says, my favorite Marvel movie is Captain Marvel. Thanks in no small part to already being a fan of Brie Larson, but even I was taken aback to it making $1 billion. Do you agree with Ray's postulation that it was because it was the lead into Endgame?
No, it's the constant argument from people who can't stand women or minorities is Captain Marvel only made $1 billion because it came out in between Infinity War and Endgame. I constantly get hit with that argument. And then the dumb look on their faces when I hit them with, you do realize Ant-Man and the Wasp came out in between Infinity War and Endgame, and it didn't get anywhere close to $1 billion. There are people who just don't want to acknowledge that, you know what, people were excited for that movie. And when people don't want to acknowledge that, they will scurry for excuses. Now, did coming out during a very, very high point for the MCU
that's what
help?
Yeah.
Ant-Man and the Wasp and Captain Marvel? Sure, it helped. Just like it helped every other MCU movie that came out during that 3 or 4 year span. 100% it helped. But to scurry around like a rat in the dark to make an excuse, and this isn't what Ray was doing, to scurry around like rats in the dark to make an excuse, like they would rather drown themselves in the bathtub than acknowledge, hey, a lot of people were just really liked Captain Marvel and wanted to go see it. They come up with an excuse. Oh, no, you see, it only did it because it came out in between Infinity War and Endgame. There was another movie that did that and came 400 million short. People were excited about it.
Look, I didn't mean to say that that's why. I was just, what I meant to say was Marvel was on a roll. Ant-Man and the Wasp, I actually skipped that one too. I still haven't seen it. But the introduction...
It's not as good as the first one, but it's still good. I like the second one.
But the introduction of Captain Marvel was big to me. I really like that movie.
Yeah.
And so that's why I went to go see it. I mean, I'm still surprised that it got $1 billion, but it deserved it, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Isaac Beebe says, John, when do you think we're going to start hearing about the casting for the upcoming Harry Potter series? Personally, I would love to see Jared Harris as Dumbledore, who is the son of the original Dumbledore actor from the first 2 films.
Yeah, Jared Harris, of course, from Chernobyl and 100 other things. Jared Harris
had no idea, and now I can't unsee it, looking at the pictures, that he was Harris's son.
Oh yeah.
I just thought that was a coincidence.
No, Jared Harris is Richard Harris's
That's
son.
awesome.
Oh, nice.
That's
And
awesome.
if you bring up a picture, if you've got it there, but Jared Harris, I had the delightful privilege of having Jared Harris in studio once. He came in and talked for an afternoon about a movie he had coming out. He's just one of the great actors out there, and he is the son of one of the great actors in Richard Harris, who of course was the original Dumbledore. He'd make a pretty good Dumbledore.
I'd go for that. Yeah.
I'd be down for that. I never would have thought of it, but you know what? I'm totally down. I'd be totally down for Jared Harris's Dumbledore.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right, what's next?
All right, we got, let me scroll up here. Tron says, wish I could be excited for Agatha like you, but I just don't care about it. Trailers haven't been good, in my opinion, and been burned too many times with Disney Plus shows in general. I don't sense a ton of buzz for it. Hope it's good, though.
I think it's going to be fantastic. And I think the trailers have been great.
I'm not necessarily hyped for it, but I'm definitely going to check it out.
I am. It's the only Disney Plus show right now that I am hyped for, other than like Andor season 2. But it really, there's nothing else. Like, I'm not all that jazzed for, was it Wonder Man or,
Yeah, I think so.
Ironheart?
Yeah.
I'm not like none of that. But Agatha, I love that character in the show. I think Catherine Hahn can do no wrong.
You should at least give episode 1 a chance. If there's even a little bit of interest, don't sign up.
I think they will.
Don't sign up to Disney Plus for, like, don't do
just for that.
But, if you have it, I mean, what's the...
Yeah.
You should just give it a chance.
You're paying for it anyway.
Trailers don't do everything.
All right, what's next?
Michael Jones with a $20 tip.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that, man.
I may be in the minority on this, but I loved series finale for the Umbrella Academy, and it was a very bold move to end it like they did. I understand if people don't like it. Also, Inside Out 2 will pass Lion King worldwide box office on Labor Day weekend.
Maybe.
It's tracking. I was saying to John, like, how it's tracking how many days it has, 34 more days. It could end up passing it, but we'll see.
Let me just bring up quickly.
Unless it falls off a cliff, box office wise.
Well, which could very well happen, but let's see. Inside Out 2 was still number 8, made $3 million this weekend.
And that's just domestic. So we're talking worldwide.
So maybe 6 or 7 worldwide. But remember that amount is going to drop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if it made 7 this weekend, it'll probably make 4 next weekend. And how much behind is it? You said it's about 30 million behind right now?
Yeah.
So it'll be
so close.
It'll be close.
It's going to threaten. I just don't know if it will.
Ittle be close.
Good job anyways.
It couldn't happen to a nicer movie. It's just, again, right now, it's already made $1.625 billion.
Yeah. It's insane.
$1.625 billion
And I only seen it once.
I mean, such a good movie. Yeah. Such a good movie.
It's too bad. It's like Disney's failing and their movies don't do good.
It's too bad nobody goes to see Disney movies anymore.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right. Funko Pimp says, hey, hey, John, sometimes I just know a person's name is going to make Ray laugh. Hey, John, you recently said you wish there were more Joker Harley in the 2016 Suicide Squad. Did you ever see the extended cut, not the air cut? It has lots more, including a scene where Harley on a motorcycle chases Joker in his Lambo. Check it out.
I have not seen. I don't generally watch extended cuts.
Yeah.
I like, that's not the movie. The movie is what they made the decision to put out in theaters. To me, that's the movie. Now, I'm not saying I've never watched extended cuts. Obviously, I have, but I tend to lean away from them, and I don't. So I've never seen it. But yes, one of the things, like, I know everybody bags on Leto's Joker. I don't know what the fuck people's problem is, because I thought Jared, for the Joker that the director wanted, Jared did that Joker perfectly. That Joker that the director wanted, I thought Leto did it perfectly. And honestly, I'm not saying his Joker was better than Heath's,
sure,
or better than Joaquin's, or better than Jack's. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, for what the director wanted, I thought it was very unique and different. And I think the best parts of that Suicide Squad movie, a movie that I acknowledge is a hot mess, but I had a lot of fun with it. I think the best parts of that movie were all the parts that had Joker and Harley together, especially that scene in the club. I think Common.
Yeah, Common was the guy who was
Common was in that scene.
Let me get at that.
That scene, I think, is my favorite scene of the movie. I loved that scene. Anyway. All right. What's next?
Generic Man says horror movie slashers who gained iconic pop culture status seem to be a thing of the past. What would it take for a new one to rise to join Freddy, Jason, and Michael?
A $1 billion hit movie. That's it.
I mean, just something that hits the zeitgeist. I do feel like there are contenders. You know,
They're
if you look
trying.
at someone like Megan, that gets a lot of popularity. And I'm not saying they're like a slasher, but it's different. People look at these characters in a different way. You know what I mean? So
yeah, well, Megan
Death Day, I really liked.
Megan only made $180 million.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, which is great considering how little it costs to make it. But at the end of the day, that's not the kind of money that's going to create a cultural shift.
Those movies weren't huge box office hits too, but they just were in the zeitgeist of like,
they were completely in the zeitgeist, and they were big for their era.
Yeah.
Right. But we haven't had anything like that for a long time. So you're going to need a horror film with a discernible, like even something like Smile. You don't.
I went there too. Yeah, I was thinking that too.
You don't really have a discernible character that can become that. You don't have a Jason or a Freddy in there.
I think more of these movies kind of go towards the supernatural or people being taken over by an entity. It's not as much like, an actual person. People
it's going to take a giant hit, and like some people bring up Ghostface. Ghostface isn't one. And you know why Ghostface will never be one? Because there is no Ghostface.
Yeah, it's
every new movie, it's a different person in the mask. So there isn't even a ghost face. There's only one Freddy, and there's only one Jason, and there's only one Michael.
You can't even do xenomorphs because they always get killed.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Because there's just so many of them.
Yeah,
you can't. Ghostface isn't one because Ghostface isn't a real guy. It's just any random person who decides to put on a mask and become a murderer.
The outfit is popular, but it's like you said, it's not the same person.
As a visual cue, it's pretty iconic, but the character itself will never be mentioned up there with Freddy, Jason, and Michael because it's not a character.
And even Terrifier is not terrifying. I mean, it's
nobody's watched Terrifier, so there's that. Terrifier's not terrifying. All right, what's next?
Oh man, regulators mount up. Nate Dogg is here. Personally, I think Ryan Reynolds shouldn't make another Deadpool movie, and Hugh shouldn't return as Wolverine. Not because they can't, but because it's always better to end on a high note.
Yep.
Which is part of the reason it took a long time to convince Hugh to come back after Logan, because you don't get a higher point than that. Like, Logan is one of the greatest, it's a top 3 greatest comic book movie ever. Put it in whichever one of the 3 spots you want, but it's a top 3 greatest comic book movie ever. And that's part of the reason why it took him so long to agree to come back and do it again. But again, look, we don't know. But my guess is, and it's just a guess, I'm just guessing as a fan, could be wrong, don't take this to the bank, that in that last scene, or near the end, as Deadpool and Wolverine are sitting on the bench and having shawarma, and Deadpool says to Wolverine, "So I'll see you around?" And Wolverine says, "Probably not."
Yeah.
I think that was him talking to the audience.
Yep.
Now, there's arguments to be made about why he will come back as well. 100%. I'm not going to fall out of my chair with shock if he decides to come back again, but I don't think he will. It's just a guess, just a pure guess. It could be wrong. All right, what's next?
Mike Halsey, with a $20 tip.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
As we head to the end of the summer, news companies end each year with review of programs. I love to watch some John Campea Show review of specials and one off best worst ever movie, actor, director, documentaries too. Is this something you might consider?
No, probably not.
Not the end of the year thing this year.
Well, no, we always do an end of the year thing.
Oh,
like we do that every year. But I mean, like, best ever, and because what I think is the best ever of this right now could change in 6 months, right? So that's why I kind of hesitate to do like best actors ever, best documentaries ever.
Okay, those lists.
But like at the end of every year, we always do our best and worst of at the end of the year. We do that every year. So that will definitely come at the end of this year as well. All right, what's next?
Moving on to our members, CJ Rebirth says, rewatched Aliens last night after having seen and enjoyed Romulus. Still one of my favorite movies ever. My number 1 in the Aliens movie series. And I know to never doubt James Cameron.
Again, how they transition, because the Terminator series is the same way.
Mm-hmm.
The first movie, very atmosphere, kind of horror. The second movie, one of the greatest action films of all time. about both Aliens and Terminator. Aliens is in my top 3 favorite action films of all time. It's just so great. Game over, man. I mean, it's seriously one of the great movies ever. And I agree. I think it is the best of the Alien franchise.
Didn't that one have Reiser in it?
Yep. Paul
Yes.
Reiser was the big bad guy in that one.
What I really appreciated about Romulus, even comparing to Aliens, and they just weren't making movies like that back then, but the space station had its own, like, not personality, but its own aura in the film, especially with the issue, the sounds it would make, and building the atmosphere, being on that station. That even in Aliens, you didn't get like as much of that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You weren't terrified of the station they were in Aliens. You were terrified. You know what I mean.
But listen, there's no wrong answer to the question.
Yeah.
Do you prefer Alien or Aliens? There's no wrong answer.
Oh,
to
I
that
just
question.
like that aspect of Romulus.
Yeah,
which I'm
100%.
like, keep going with that because that's great.
All right, what's next?
We got Yanimore, I think. Hey, John and crew, Inside Out 2 has finally become the #1 box office in animation spacing Lion King.
No, it has not.
Yet.
No, it has.
And
Just
with
so you
that-
know, it has not.
Yeah. And with that, Pixar made $17 billion from all of 28 films, which makes an average of $610 million. That's crazy.
Look, I made an argument for. Okay, so just to be clear, it has not passed Lion King. Just so we know.
Yeah, not yet.
I used to make the argument for many years that Pixar is not just the best animation studio out there. They might be the best movie studio, period. I mean, when you go back and look at the constant flow of absolutely highest quality films that they were putting out. That's going back a couple of years ago, but still, there was a period of time where I thought a solid argument to be made could have been made that Pixar was the best movie studio, period, animation or otherwise, because they just made consistently the most highest quality of excellence in their films. And they've made a lot of money doing it. All right, what's next?
We got DAL official. What fictional world would you most like to visit? If given the opportunity, I would visit Narnia. Interesting. I don't think we've heard that one from 06 movie after the kings and queens were crowned.
I don't know why we keep getting asked that question. Like,
Yeah.
people, but I'll go back to it. The Shire. I would love to go and live in the Shire.
Mm.
Do, 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 do,
He would be the
do.
wasteland in Mad Max.
The Mad Max.
Oh, I thought
It
it seems
comfort-
pleasant. It
Yeah,
seems very pleasant.
Will you take the Thunder Road?
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say the Void. The Wasteland in the Void. Yeah. That.
wonderful.
All right. What's next?
Real quick, I skipped Nick Schmidt here. Hey, John and crew, how would you feel about Fede Alvarez directing a Ghost Rider film?
Don't care. X actor and X movie. You know, all I ever care about is if you're going to do that movie, get a good director. And if they announce that Fede Alvarez is going to do a Ghost Rider movie, great. Sure. I mean, there would be 20 other names that I think would be great as well. But all I ever care about is the director you're getting a really good director. Fede Alvarez is one that fits the bill. All right. What's next?
Logan Vaughn says, which Robin Williams movie have you seen the most? For him, it's probably Aladdin or Jumanji.
Oh, it's easily Aladdin. Other than that, Good Will Hunting. Other than that, Dead Poet Society.
Yeah. That's,
Other than that,
yep.
Good Morning Vietnam.
Wasn't he Bicentennial Man too?
Yep, he was in
I think I've seen
Bicentennial
that.
Man. Yeah, so those are the ones I probably watched the most. Mrs. Doubtfire.
Flubber.
Didn't watch Flubber
Yeah,
a lot.
Flubber wasn't high on my list.
Oh, and I totally forgot about Hook.
Oh, yeah. It's
I've
probably a
seen
lot.
Hook a lot.
I've
Hook
never
is
seen
probably
that.
high up for a lot of people.
Spidey 83 reminded me of that in the live chat. I've seen Hook a lot. Bangarang. Oh, I love Hook so much. All right, what's next?
Definitely reminds me of a specific time in my life. Darth Huffle says, hi, John and crew. Greetings from Belgium. I love you guys. Who is your favorite Lord of the Rings character?
Boromir. He might be one of my favorite characters in all of literature because I'm a sucker for redemption arcs, and his in that is one of my favorites of all time. All right, what's next?
Sora fan says, I recently signed up for Marvel Unlimited, the comic series. I'm in love with it. Finding new comics to read, and in starting off with the Century, I'm starting off with the Century. Any more recommendations?
If you're a member of the service, I mean, you got, again, my all-time favorite comic book storyline is Age of Apocalypse. That's my number one all-time favorite storyline. I would start with Legion Quest, which is the story that leads into Age of Apocalypse. So I would set the groundwork a little bit by reading Legion Quest and then go into the Age of Apocalypse storyline. It's a lot to read, but if you got Marvel Unlimited, you got the time.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
All right. Vicog says, do you think we would have these amazing theater programs like A-List and Regal Unlimited without MoviePass? I know early MoviePass was trying to be the mob, but they have forced AMC and Regal's hand to make a program to complete. Why am I cutting up? To complete.
No, so that's a misunderstanding. First of all, remember MoviePass started off. Go and watch the MoviePass documentary on Max, by the way. And I'm not just saying that because I'm in it. But go watch it because it's great. But it started off as a very well-intentioned, brilliant idea. And then this jackass took over the company and started to run it like the mob. And I'm glad they died. But now they're back under control. Here's the thing. MoviePass did not come up with the idea. Cineworld in the UK had been doing it for years already. And I can tell you this, that before MoviePass had come out, I was working at AMC, and 3 or 4 times a year I would fly out to Kansas, which is where AMC's main campus is and their main headquarters. And I remember prior to MoviePass, them studying how they could have their own implementation of what Cineworld was doing in the UK. So listen, MoviePass deserves a lot of credit. Yes. And it is, as young Chancellor PA says in the live chat, they're still alive and well. Their first time ever, they're profitable now. So MoviePass is still out there and they're doing well. MoviePass deserves a lot of credit for a lot of things. But the movement for places like AMC to move towards a subscription-based service was already underway years before they launched it, prior to MoviePass coming out. All right, let's take 2 more.
All right. Dustin says, hi, John. With James Gunn saying that DC Studios won't begin shooting without a finished script, do you think if DC releases banger after banger, they could someday reach the box office success of the MCU?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
They can. I'm not saying they will. Remember, we haven't seen one damn movie from them yet. I may have a lot of faith in James Gunn, and I do. I have a world of faith in James Gunn. And I may have a lot of faith in the upcoming DC slate. I do. And I particularly have a lot of faith in the upcoming Superman movie. I think it's going to be great. But I think it's going to be great. I don't know that it's great. I haven't seen it. James, if you're watching and you want to let me have an advanced preview of it, let me know. But I mean, I don't know that it's going to be great. Maybe it'll be bad. Who knows? We'll see. I have all the faith in the world in James Gunn, though. So can it reach that level of success? It can. The bigger question is, will it? And that's a totally different question that we just can't possibly answer until we start getting a sense of what these movies are going to do, both in terms of quality and popularity. All right, last question of the day. What's next?
All right. Joe Howland says, hey, John and crew, hope your day is awesome. With how well Alien Romulus is doing, do you think the TV series will be as good as they say it will be out this fall on Hulu? Thanks, Bring on the Filthy.
I still think that series is a bad idea. I think they're going to dilute the property. I think they're going to water it down. As of right now, I'm just going to stick with, I don't think doing the show's a good idea, but hopefully it'll turn out to be.
It feels a little run before you walk.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have my doubts, but hey, I had my doubts about Alien Romulus.
Yeah. It could be
so, great. We'll see. All right, guys. And that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number 1, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I want to thank the people in the room with me. Ray Ora.
See you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
Yeah, see you guys tomorrow.
My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.